my name and gave me the serial number in a cold white room while the world was in slumber. A government shadow with a weapon for a soul. Lost my childhood to the heavy-handed control. My eyes shifted colors like a diamond in the dark, bearing the weight of every mental spark. I could hear their secrets, I could see through the lies. A lonely little pond under artificial sky. Now I've got tentacles, my witch in the moonlight, casting her circles to keep back the night. And Crowley's beside me with eyes glowing red, a faithful hellhound where the angels won't tread. We're chasing a heaven, a place to belong, singing a weary, traveling blues song. Song, song, song. Ooh. Song, song. I tear through the fabric, I open the gate, step through a portal to outrun our fate. Every mind is a book that I've already read, except for the woman who shares in my bed. She weaves the protection, she carries the flame, healing the parts of me they try to maim. With a flip of her wrist and a word on her breath, she's the only reason I'm not dancing with death. Now I got Danica, my witch in the moonlight, casting her circles to keep back the night. And Crowley's beside me with eyes glowing red, a faithful hellhound where the angels won't tread. We're chasing a haven, a place to belong, singing a weary, traveling blues song. Song, song, song. Ooh, yeah. Song, song. Holy ground's low when the shadows get near. He smells the corruption, he tastes every fear. A beast from the pit, but he's loyal and true. The best kind of friend that a man ever knew. From the labs to the woods, from the dirt to the sky, we're free of a kind till the day that we die. No more a puppet, no more a tool, breaking the grip of their government rule. Now I've got Danica, my witch in the moonlight, casting her circles to keep back the night. And Crowley's beside me with eyes glowing red, the faithful hellhound where the angels won't tread. We're chasing a haven, a place to belong, just a man and his witch and a hound from the line. Walking the line on a jagged high wire, he found our haven in the middle of the storm. Keep the portal open, keep the heart fire warm. Yeah, we're finally home. Song, song, song. Ooh, yeah. Song, song. We're finally home. Song, song, song. Ooh, song, song, song.
Hello, my name's Henry, and I'm back again. Welcome aboard. We've been doing this here in 1, 2, and 3, and well, now we're headed into 4. And we're still living on the haunted farm, discovering new things there. This particular day, me and Dad and Grandpa was going to take and go back in the field, and getting in the fall, was going to pick some corn. Anyway, me and Grandpa took the ton truck, and Dad had already headed back to the field and was started picking a little bit ahead of us. So, Mom packed my little lunchbox and cooler. We headed out the door and got in a 2-ton truck. Headed down the dirt road past the machine shed and on back past the pond and up down a few hills and finally come to the furthest field away, which was right there at the highway. So we pulled in and found a nice shady parking place there and proceeded to get out, and Grandpa had been down there before brush hogging, so it was a clear spot to get out and sit underneath the shade tree and watch the combine as it goes up and down the rows, filling up the hopper. All we had to do was sit and wait. So we watched several swipes back and forth, back and forth. He got the hopper full, and we headed down the truck, and Dad never liked to really stop when he was picking if he was wanting to hurry and get a field out, so Grandpa eased beside him, and he turned the auger out away from the combine and kicked her on as he was moving, and we was driving along real slow, keeping pace with him while the corn was coming out the auger and back of the truck. Back then it took 2 of those hoppers to equal a 2-ton truckload. So we followed, and when he got to the end of the field, he stopped, and we give him his little cooler, and we headed back toward the shade tree in the 2-ton truck. He proceeded to swing the arm in on the combine, and it was only a 4-row picker. Of course, back in those days, that was a pretty good-sized piece of machinery. It ain't now, but it was back then. So we were sitting over there, shooting the breeze, and got to noticing Grandpa periodically would take and pull his hat off his head and wipe the sweat from his forehead with his clean hanky, and he put his hand up like this here and look up toward the sky. I wasn't sure what he was looking at, but he fascinated me though, so I'd always look in the direction, not seeing nothing. And we sat there and he talked about life. Anyway, he goes, "I got a surprise for you." He said, "But can't get it till Saturday." And he said, "Saturday, we'll go and get you a surprise." So I kept pestering him, wanted to know what it was. He said he wasn't going to tell me. That didn't stop me from asking. Anyway, before I knew it, we had all that field done. So we decided we'd take the grain truck, cover it up, and Mom would come back there in the pickup. So we rode the tarp out and strapped her down in the old 2-ton truck, and Dad pulled up beside us, and we tarped the combine down. Anyway, we all climbed in the pickup. Dad climbed in the front with Mom, and me and Grandpa sat in the back up against the cab. Of course, back in those days, think like now, back in those days, it was a privilege to ride back there in the bed of that truck. Get a lot of good breeze. Of course, it wasn't so good if it was raining, but things happen. So we on the way back, and Grandpa said, "Corn's making good this year. Get bigger ears of corn." He said, "It's hard to put your dad and mom ahead." I didn't know what that meant, but I figured something about money. Didn't affect me, I didn't think. So I just played it off and enjoyed the good breeze. Anyway, next day, Grandpa come out, and me and Dad and Grandpa, we climbed in the pickup and headed back to the field, and Mom was going to come back in a little bit. So we get back to the field and grabbed that combine and took it to the next field and took the truck over, and Dad started picking. Same thing. We took that load of corn and emptied it. Come back and emptied that load up there at the bin up there by the barn. Anyway, Dad picked the rest of the day, and it was kind of uneventful, but we had fun. It was fun just sitting there talking to Grandpa, learning about the old days. Mom come back later on, brought dinner out, and she brought supper out, and Dad said he was going to make a few more rounds to fill up the combine and 2-ton truck, so he did. And he said, well, rather than leave the combine and the truck here, we just take it on over to the other field and park there, and that way in the morning we could just send the truck to be emptied and come back and empty the combine, and he'd start picking. So Dad headed down to that old windy field, up and down the hills and hollers, and forded a little creek. Got up to the other field, and he parked the combine up there, along beside this big old oak tree. He stretched a tarp over top of the hopper. We pulled up there and put the tarp on the 2-ton truck and strapped her down and piled into the pickup truck, headed home, down through the windy hills, and the old dirt road, kind of twisty and kind of bouncy in places. You'd lean to one side and be thrown to the other side. Down through the little creek that had a slab rock bottom, come up on the other side, and up through by the old pond, and come out by the machine shed and up to the house. And Dad told Grandpa that he wanted to talk to him for a minute. I didn't know what was going on, but I sat there and listened, and now I know what they was talking about. Back then I didn't, and really didn't care. Anyway, he was telling Grandpa that he kept getting a glimpse of something in the corn just outside of the range of the combine, that seen something running back and forth, that tomorrow maybe better take a gun just in case it might be a coyote catching mice. Never know. Grandpa agreed. So we took the old pickup the next day back there, and Mom was going to come back in the other pickup. We got back there, and combine was still tarped, so wasn't a 2-ton truck. But when we got back there wasn't a damn stalk of corn standing nowhere, nor an ear any place. Looked like somebody had just cut it off. Stalks were gone, corn was gone, even out of the combine, the truck was gone. Oh man, my dad was mad. He just knew somebody went out there and picked it and stowed all that corn. So we walked around the field looking for tractor tracks, truck tracks, combine tracks. Wasn't nothing. Just the corn was missing. Man, that guy was mad. Never seen him like that before. Of course, seen the dust coming, and here come my mom, and she pulled up here, and she's like, well, my God, I thought you said you was going to pick this field today. Dad said somebody did pick it. Sure in hell wasn't us. She mean somebody stole the corn. How's that possible? That's I don't know. That's what we're looking for. So we walked around looking and can't find nary a track. So Mom and Grandpa got talking, and they kept looking up at the sky. Dad, he was looking for tracks, and they got talking, and Mom goes, you ever see a guy that looks so weird? Grandpa said, no, it looks kind of funny. It's kind of a yellowish green. Of course, Dad got tired of listening to them talk about it, and he said, why don't you guys get looking for tracks and don't worry about the sky? Neighbor guy was over there in his field across the gravel road. We could see him out there, and he was looking up too. He'd look over where we was at. He'd look up. Cars coming down the gravel road there doing the same thing. They'd stop and get out and look. So finally, we all stopped and looked, and it was just over our field. The rest of the sky was pretty blue. All of a sudden, heard this, I don't know what you'd call it. It was like a buzzing noise and a bang. And all of a sudden, that sky turned loose and it started raining corn. Damnedest thing you ever seen. We made a run for the 2-ton truck and pickup. That corn falling that hard from the sky there kind of hurt. We got back to the trucks and sat there, and it was pelleting the vehicle and everything else. But the guy in the next field was out there just standing and pointing. Cars were pointing. Like, what the hell are they looking at? How come it ain't raining corn over there? It did that probably about 30 minutes. All of a sudden, it just stopped. Instead of raining fish, it was raining corn. That whole field was just gold with corn kernels. No cobs, no stalks, just the corn. I was like, that's weird as hell. So, I was like, screw it. Gotta call the insurance company. So the next day, the insurance company come out, and we all went back there, and that insurance guy, he walked that field and walked that field. He come back with his notepad, and he said, you know something? I don't know how you done it, not leaving no tracks. But if I find a track, or I find out from somebody that you all pulled a scam, I'm going to send every one of you to prison. You understand me? My dad said, you son of a bitch, just do your damn job. Pay me for what this corn's worth. He goes, well, what are you going to do with the corn afterwards? It's on the ground, and then you do it. And Dad said, I'll turn the cows loose out there. Guy said, I'm going to go ahead and call it in. He said, you'll get your check within about 3 days. Meanwhile, the farmer on the other side of the road come walking up there, and he goes, what's going on? Dad said, insurance guy is thinking we done something with the corn, but he can't explain why we would just dump it all over the fields. Can't find no tracks. He goes, well, if my word's anything of any good, or of any help, I was right over there in that field when it happened. The guy said, oh yeah, what'd you see? He said, I seen these people out here walking around looking at the field trying to find tracks just like you're doing. He said, all of a sudden, sky over top of that field opened up, and it started dumping corn. The guy said, well, did you hear anything? And he goes, yeah. There was kind of a sizzling, fizzing noise, and all of a sudden a big pop. The sky turned loose, and raining corn. Guy said, well, sign this paper here, will you? He said, I have to have you fill out a statement. So the guy filled out the statement and signed his name, dated it. Guy said, when I get back to the office, I'll just go ahead and give him a call, and I'll make sure now that we got a witness that you get your check tomorrow. I'll bring it out first thing in the morning. That'd be fine. So we go back home. Dad and Mom and Grandpa sitting around talking about it. They can't figure it out. So Grandpa said, well, I better get home. Mom will be waiting. That's what he called Grandma. So he left, and Dad went in and took a shower, and Mom was busy cooking. He was in there, and we heard the noise in the living room, so Mom took the pan on the stove and moved it over and shut the burner off. Walked in there, and every bit of the furniture in the living room was slid around. Looked like somebody had put it in a big pile in the center of the room. So we started moving furniture around, putting it back where it goes, and putting the rugs back down in their spots. So Mom goes in, goes back to cooking, and we hear another noise, and Mom shuts everything down. We walk in there, and now all the curtains in the living room are tossed in the middle of the floor. Mom's like, screw it. I'll take care of it when I get done cooking. I'm about done. We can sit down and eat. Your Dad's got to be tired and hungry. So we laid the curtains up on the big chair, and Mom proceeded to cook and finish up, and Dad come out and sat down and had him a cup of coffee. Mom set the table and put the food up there, and my uncle comes in from outside. He'd been outside in the backyard doing something. Hard telling. He sits down, and we come in and start eating. Dad goes, what the hell was that noise earlier? Mom said, furniture got all rearranged into the front room somehow and put in a pile. So we moved that back. Then the damn curtains got yanked off the wall and threw on the floor too. So we set them on a chair and said, hell with it. Dad said, what the hell's going on with this place? Mom goes, I don't know. I've been telling you things going on and you don't listen, so kind of quit talking about it. Well, a few days had passed. My dad headed back to that field and by himself, and I was to stay home with my uncle and my mom. Back there plowing that field, and wasn't long when he come back up the house. He'd hit something, and one of the plow tongs was turned up. It sheared the pin, so he had to come up and get another pin and take the big sledgehammer and tap on it, got it down in place, and my uncle helped him line up the hole, and they put a new pin in there, and I noticed that he didn't want to go back to that field. So he come in, sat and had a cup of coffee, and Mom goes, what happened? And he said, I sheared the pin on the plow. She said, what the hell did you hit? He goes, well, that's the thing, that field was it rained corn. She goes, yeah. He goes, I hit something. And he said, it raised the whole damn plow up. And he said, it hit so hard that made the old tractor stand up on her ass. He said, I pushed in the clutch and it kind of went back a little bit and dropped front end down, but the plow still stayed up in the air. She goes, big rock or a big log or what? He goes, no. It looked like a big old saucer-looking thing, kind of like a saucer and a cigar. I said, what the hell? He goes, I don't know. He said, it's about the size of a car. He said, I was standing there. He said, I couldn't go very far back or pull up very far. He said, all of a sudden, he said, I heard a noise, so he said, I jumped off the tractor and left it running. He said, this thing slid. It was underground a little bit. It slid out from under the plow and just took straight off. He said, I don't know what the fuck it was. Mom goes, maybe one of them UFO things. He goes, I don't know what the hell it was. Whatever the hell it was, it got the hell out of there. And he said, I got back on the tractor and raised that plow and got my ass back here. He said, I don't know what it was, but I sure in hell didn't want to go with it. So, a few more days pass, and my grandpa shows up early one morning, and he said, come on. Well, I noticed he had a livestock trailer in the back of his truck. So, I said, where are we going? He said, remember I told you we're going to go get you something. I said, will you get me? Oh, you'll find out when we get there. Just get in the truck. Well, it must have been prearranged with Mom and Dad, because they kind of seemed like they knew about it. So I went out there and got in his old Chevy truck. Now, he only drove all Chevys. He didn't care what color it was, as long as it was a Chevy. He was a Chevy man and proud of it. So we get in the truck and head down the lane out to the gravel road and headed toward the hard road and turned left and said, where the hell are we going? Just enjoy the ride. I'll tell you when we get there. We drove. Passed through one town, through country, to another town, through country, and into a big city not far away, maybe 20, 30 miles away. We got just to the edge of the big city, and I could see the big Capitol building way off in the distance. Grandpa turned off of the main highway there, and we took a blacktop, and then it turned to gravel. Ended up this great big ranch with all these Spanish people, Mexicans. Well, they must have knowed Grandpa, because they come out and throwed their hand out and tipped their sombreros at him. And they told Grandpa, said, the one's good and broke. That one, that son of a bitch is loco. You don't let that boy get near that brown and black. He's loco. If you want to, we can train him. Grandpa said, what about the Appaloosa? He said, oh, we trained him. We've had him for a couple years, and he's a good broke horse. Now, that'd be one for that boy right there. That horse meant for him. So I walked down to the barn with one of the old Mexicans, and he told me, he said, he's a big un, but he's got a good heart. You'll like him, he'll like you. He'll never do you wrong. Just don't mistreat him. Okay. Well, they opened the stall door, and there he stood. Well, he was several different colors. He had a mane that wasn't over about 3 inches long at most. It stood up like a damn zebra. Well, he had one glass eye, they call it, and that's an eye that's white or blue. The other eye was dark. He had a big blaze down his face. My God, he had a couple colors in him. Dark blue, light blue, even like a gray. And back there on his ass was white. He had a a yellowish looking tail. It was real short, only about 2 foot long. Asked if that was natural, and they said he was born like that. It ain't cut. Neither is his mane. But he's not a horse that we could use for show. So, your grandpa bought him. Both of them's yours. So I was looking him over, and they said, well, hop aboard. I can't get on him as tall as he is. The old Mexican laughed. He said, now, he ain't got hardly any mane, so I put you up there. Just hold on to that there, right there by his shoulder. There's kind of a little hump there. Just hold on to it. He's good. Just lock your feet on his ribs there. Don't kick him. We'll lead him out of the barn and put a bridle on him. Put a blanket in the saddle, and you can ride him out here. So they led me and the horse out there and got me off there by the truck and put a saddle and saddle blanket and a bit in his mouth and reins. And Grandpa bought the 2 horses and everything that goes with them, even some extra horseshoes. But that guy told me, he said, now, you want to go forward, you just take the reins and put them up here by what we call the saddle horn. Okay. He goes, if you want to turn around, whichever direction you want to turn, you pull the reins that direction. Don't pull them tight, just lay him on the side of his neck on the opposite side. He'll turn. When you get far enough turned around, pull the reins back up, hang them on the saddle horn. When you want to stop, don't yank. Pull back a little bit, hold it. If you pull back any further, he'll start backing up. Okay. So they turned me loose there in the grass along the pasture there, and that horse just dropped his head and sauntered along. I was in love. Had my very first 2 horses, only one I could ride. The other one had to be taken and broke. Loved that horse. Had him for many, many years. Both of them. We'd seen a lot together. So, I got done riding, and they took the saddle and blanket and stuff off and give him a drink. They put him in first and shut the gate. Then here come 6 Mexicans leading the big old quarter horse, and he was chestnut color, black legs, black mane, black tail. They had so many lassos on that poor son of a bitch, I'm surprised he could do anything, but that horse was still fighting. So a couple of them Mexicans run inside the horse trailer and run out the side door and threw the ropes through as they went through. They finally got him corralled up in there, and the old Mexican, big old heavy set one, was sitting there, and he goes, that son of a bitch there's a killer. Said, he tried to kill you, you ain't careful. Grandpa said, I would get him. I know some guys that break him out. The old Mexican sighed, and he said, you do? He said, may I ask what you're planning on doing? He goes, I know some vaqueros. And that old Mexican stood back, and he goes, yeah, they'll take good care of him. They'll run the piss and vinegar out of his ass. Them top-notch Spaniards there. So, we headed back home. It was a long-ass drive. Got home by dark. Pulled in with the horses, and Dad said, well, we'll fill up their troughs and, their drinking water and feed inside that trailer and leave them there until morning. They'll be okay, and then that way, put them out tomorrow, we could watch them. Grandpa said, well, that one, pretty bad off. He's mean as shit. He said, but that Appaloosa, old Henry here fell in love with him. Dad said, well, why don't we take him out and put him in the barn The other one, leave him in a trailer, and you can take him on up to Hondo and let them there vaqueros give him a good work over. Let them have something to do. We'll pay him good money. So we took the Appaloosa out, and he was a big, tall son of a bitch. Just as good as gold. Hell, you hang on his tail. He'd just stand there. But that night, went in and went to bed, and laying there and trying to sleep. I couldn't sleep because I was so excited. So I laid there and dreamed about horses. Well, that night was going to be a real turning point. My uncle was laying in the twin bed just a few feet from me there, and just a little walkway between me and his bed. And I finally fell asleep. Sometime during the night, I heard something. And when I woke up, I felt like somebody was staring at me. And there was my uncle, there was my mom, there was my dad, standing there by the door staring at me like I was some kind of cockroach with two heads. What are you guys looking at? When did you learn whatever language that is you're speaking? So I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I was sleeping. I was dreaming about the horse. They said, well, how did you learn that language? I don't know what you're talking about. I was dreaming, I was asleep. So my uncle said, well, if I hear any more, I'll holler at you. So we go back to bed, and I said, what the hell was that all about? He said, well, you was over there mumbling something, some kind of language. I said, what's that mean? He goes, you was, English is our language. What you was speaking and laughing over there wasn't our language. He said, I'm really not sure what language that was. So we go ahead and go back to bed and go to sleep. Well, the next day, I get up and haul ass out the door, and I'm going back to the barn. It's back there behind the house. I run back there, and there that big old sumbitch was. Standing there waiting. So I grabbed some hay and tossed over in his bunk. He started nibbling at it, and I was trying to figure out how to open that damn gate. My dad come out there, and he goes, until he gets kind of used to it, need to kind of stay on this side, don't go on that side of the fence. I said, buddy, he's gentle. He goes, yeah, but just, you never want to spook one. Okay, my dad thought he was a horseman. I guess in his eyes he was, but I found out later I was more of a horseman than him. He wasn't liking that too much either, as I got older. So he goes, who was you talking to last night in your sleep, and what the hell was you saying? I don't know. I was dreaming about the horse. I got two horses, and I can only ride one, but that's fine by me. He goes, well, who was you talking to last night? I said, I don't know. I was sleeping. He goes, hey, a horseman can't have a horse and still walk around in his baby shoes. We need to get you out of them damn baby shoes. They look like damn girl shoes. We're going to go to the Western shop, get you a pair of boots and a hat. Okay. I didn't know what the hell you're talking about, but I agreed. Next day come, went to the Western shop and got me a pair of cowboy boots. black hat, little western shirt, a vest. Must have been a hell of a bill, because I seen a lot of green coming out of Dad's billfold, but he said it was worth it. So, most every day after that, that's the way I was dressed. Never ever was allowed to go barefooted or even sock-footed. I went straight from baby shoes into cowboy boots. If I was out working and doing chores, rubber boots. So, every day I go out there and brush the horse. Of course, I couldn't reach very high. I'd reach what I could reach, and what I couldn't, I'd stand on top of a bucket. Every day, whenever I got time, Dad and somebody got time, they'd saddle the horse for me, and I'd ride up and down the driveway. Well, Dad said, need to get the rest of that field out. Come on, you don't need to be up here at the farm by yourself. Your mom and your uncle's got to go to town. Okay. So I hopped in the old combine with him. Back to the field we went. 2-ton truck was already parked back there. So we pulled into the field and hadn't been touched yet. So Dad turned the head on and we headed down through that field. Every so often he'd look at something. What the hell you see? What do you see? A deer? No, I'm not sure what it is. He's just every so often. Of course, in that gleaner it had 2 big mirrors, one on each side. He'd be watching them. So he got a hopper load, and pulled up beside the 2-ton truck. And I was like, hey, I gotta pee. He goes, you just stay right here. I'm gonna shut that auger down, and I'll take and go with you over there beside the truck, stand over there. It's okay. So he shut everything down, and we climbed off. That was just a safety precaution. He helped me down, and was over there peeing. He kept watching in the woods, and he'd look in the field. What the hell's he watching? So we got back on the combine, and before I knew it, it was starting to get toward dark. Dad was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and finish this field. That didn't bother me none. He turned the lights on, and we going through the field, and I'd see a rabbit every so often shoot out, or a deer. But when he made the bend, them big spotlights on that combine hitting along the edge of them woods, and everything, anybody knows anything about a combine, the back wheels is what you turn with. The big front wheels, they don't turn left or right. It's the back wheels that does the turning. As we swung around, started seeing these amber-colored eyes. Wouldn't believe it. That's all you'd see. We got noticing, too, as we was going through the field, them same colored amber eyes was out there behind the combine, and every so often you'd see something out to the side in the corn. So we just kept watching and got to the other end and made the swing around, and Dad didn't have it quite judged right, so he had to back up and readjust, and that was when we seen it again. 2 dog men standing there, one in the field and one standing out there on the edge. What it was, one was chasing the rabbits from the combine to the one standing along the edge in the clean part of the field. And they was catching rabbits. Dad said, what the hell? I said, that's them werewolf things. That's what my uncle called them, was werewolf. I said, they don't look like the one on TV. Them one on TV, that old guy on there, he don't have them big ears. He ain't big as that thing. My dad said, I think we've had about enough for tonight. I was expecting him to go to the 2-ton truck, and we'd drive it home. He locked the door on that combine. He put that son of a bitch in road gear. We headed back to the house. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I was like a golf ball in a tin can. I'd bounce over here, bounce over there, and Dad was trying to hold me straight. I'd bounce off the window. Got back up there by the machine shed. I just knew for sure he was going to park that thing at the machine shed. Oh, hell no. He drove all the way up to the front gate. Had there not been no fence or gate there, he probably drove up to the porch. We'd got curbside service. Dad picks me up, and I locks the door on the combine, and climbed down with me, and he's holding me like a football under his arm. He looks both directions. He took off running, hit that gate. Didn't even bother shutting it. Run up on the porch, and he flung that screen door open and flung the inside door open and tossed me in, looked around, and in he came. Slammed both doors behind him. I go, what the hell going on? He said, never seen the likes. I seen a couple of what he's claiming is werewolves back there in that field. And was making turns, they was catching rabbits. Mom said, I told you this place is fucking creepy. We should just think about selling out and getting the hell out of here before somebody get killed. Dad said, bullshit. I'll kill the son bitches first. Well, that night, they sat at the table, and my uncle and him, my mom's brother, they got talking about these werewolf things. Well, I was all ears. So, while we were sitting there talking, my uncle got real quiet. And my mom got real quiet. My dad, he was still shoveling food in and yapping at the same time. He goes, look like you all seen a ghost. My uncle said, don't make it real obvious, but look toward the kitchen sink at that window. My dad turned his head and looked. Sure enough, there was a big pair of amber eyes staring at us, glowing. My dad said, everybody just sat here. Don't move. He gets up and goes in and grabs the shotgun, because it's standing on the porch, looking in the house. Dad grabs a shotgun and goes out the back door onto the back porch. He's sneaking around. All of a sudden, we seen him right in front of that window over top of the sink. Wasn't nothing else there. So he just kind of threw his shoulders up. He was started walking backwards to the door. Come in, he said, I don't know, did you guys see where it went? No, didn't even hear it. So, that's why I better stay up night watch for that thing. He said, tried to get in, got to put it down. So, that night, not too much of anything happened. But, things were going to take a change. After a few days, we headed back to the field again and getting corn out. This is like November. On the first part of November, first week. So, my uncle decides he's going to stay up at the house with Mom, protect her, and Dad was going to take me back to the field with him. So we're back there in the field working, and here come the pickup truck after about 2 or 3 hours. I mean, the old truck was just a bouncing them old field roads. Got up there, and Mom goes, my brother's missing. That's what you mean, missing? He said, well, he walked out to the vehicle to get something out of the vehicle and said, in the meantime, this big cat come up on the porch. You mean a house cat? Barn cat? No, she said, this son of a bitch was huge. She said, from nose to tail, probably about 6, 7 foot long. You're talking about a panther. or a cougar. What color was it? Mom goes, it was black with yellow eyes. Dad goes, yeah, that's a panther. Where was it at? It was on the porch. Now, it was between the house and my uncle. And said, I looked around and hollered around, and he didn't answer, so I figured maybe that cat must have got him. So we get in the truck and haul ass back to the house, and there's my uncle sitting at the kitchen table, not saying a word. Dad goes, did you know that panther was out there? And he goes, not until I got out there to the car. And he said, I started walking back, and there it was, laying there in front of the door. Dad, so where in the hell did you go? He said, I run back to that truck, jumped in and locked the doors, got in the floorboard. Why in the hell didn't you answer my wife when she was hollering? He goes, I couldn't hear nothing. I was so scared I couldn't hear nothing. I was afraid to make a move, afraid that big cat come out here and get me. So, Dad said, well, guess I'll go out and see if I can check the livestock, make sure everything's okay, and take the gun with me. So he took the shotgun with him, and everything was okay, but there wasn't no tracks. There wasn't a single track nowhere. Dad said, for that big of a cat, there should have been a track someplace. Nope, there wasn't. Wasn't a track one. So, a few more days passes, and Dad said, well, we should be back in the field again. And I'll be damned. We ain't just maybe to the barn, and Dad was like, I forgot my damn cigarettes. Turn around and come back. There that big frickin' cat was, laying on the porch. Just laying there in the shade. Now here we are in the pickup truck. No gun in there. Mom's in the house. Uncle's in the house. And that big cat's laying in front of the door. Just laying there like the son of a bitch of the barn cat. Dad goes, oh, I'd like to get a shotgun on him. I'd burn his ass. So Dad laid on the horn. Cat got up and looked. And one jump. Two jump. And right over the fence. Disappeared back in the woods. Dad ran in the house. Took me with him. Grabbed his cigarettes. And this time he didn't even remember to grab a gun. Told my mom about it. And she didn't say much, that she'd get her gun out and have it ready in case he come back. Dad goes, if you see the son of a bitch, shoot him. Don't hesitate. Just shoot the damn thing. How's he doing on the porch anyway? So we go back in the field to work. I'm riding the tractor, and Dad, he'd run up down the field with the disc, cutting shit up. We got done, we got back to the truck and come home, and my mom proceeded to tell my dad that she had called her dad, and he was going to come out to pick up my uncle, and was going to have him for a few days. They could do a little bonding. That's okay. It's his son. So, next day we got up, headed out to the field, and got to work, and like, well, anytime Mom should be bringing drinking food back here, because we had a small cooler with snacks in it. 1 o'clock, no Mom. 2 o'clock, no Mom. What the hell? Dad raises the old tractor disc up, locks her in place, and folds the wings in, and we head up to the house, and her car was gone. clothes was gone. Wasn't no clothes in the closet. No clothes in the bathroom. Dad ran all the way through the house. Looking, she wasn't nowhere to be found. Well, the phone rang and she called to say she was at her mom's and she was going to stay there for a few days. That damn house getting too crazy for her. So, she said she'd stay in contact with anything, just call. Well, now I was going to be stuck there with my dad. And one horse, anyway. So, that night, they had these things, they called them a wee-wheeler. It was like a tricycle with 4 wheels. And the newer ones of today, they have a little basket in the back. Mine had a little metal basket. A little lever you raised and it tipped the bed. On the handlebars, it had these streamers. It had this little silver and black horn. You squeeze it and it Well, I go around. The stairs set in the center of the house. And you can start out like in the kitchen and go through the dining room, around the bedrooms, around the back door, a little pantry-like room, then the living room, back into the kitchen. So I laying there riding on my wee-wheeler. You have to use your legs to push it. You can't pedal it, ain't no pedals. And I'm going around, making my rounds while my dad's watching the news. We had 2 dogs in there. One was one of them little wiener dogs, and the other one was a mean-ass Dalmatian. That dog was so mean, I don't think she really liked anybody, except for me. I think she just tolerated my uncle and my mom and dad. But I'd go around, and on about the 4th round, right there in the kitchen, is the stairs that goes up to the upstairs rooms. Go around, just about the time I got to that door, I heard somebody holler. So I stopped, pushed my wee-wheeler backwards, and looked up the stairs, and lo and behold, there was an old man sitting up there. Real tall, skinny man. Almost looked like he kind of shimmered and glowed. His eyes were kind of a milky, whitish blue. He was sitting up there just out of the light, right in the shadow. And it kind of looked like, he was sitting there doing this on the stairs. Oh, that's weird. I said, yeah, I figured somebody my dad knew. He goes, tell your dad I want to talk to him. Okay. The dogs was in the living room. They was on the little love seat. My dad was on the big couch. So I made my round around, got into the living room where he was at, and I said, hey. He goes, be quiet for a minute. So I sat there and waited, and I go, hey, there's a guy up there in the stairs who wants to talk to you. He goes, what? I said, there's a guy that stopped me up. He's on the stairs, going up to the bedrooms. He wants to talk to you. He told me to come and tell you he wants to talk to you. He goes, you better get your ass going and quit lying to me. I said, I'm serious. He said, you get your ass going, I'm going to whip your ass. So I took off. I didn't want my ass whipped. I got into the kitchen, and there was that guy again. Hey, yeah? Did you tell him? I told him. He told me to whip my ass. You make it clear to him that I want to talk to him. Okay. I went on around. Did not dawn on me that it was a ghost, or whatever it was. I just thought it was somebody that looked human. You couldn't see through him, looked solid just like me and everybody else. So I ran and told Dad again. He said, "You get your ass going. I'm trying to watch the damn news." So this went on like 5 or 6 times. On the last trip, my dad said, "A guy, huh?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Look over there on the love seat." I looked over there, and them 2 dogs were curled up asleep. That little wiener dog and that damn Dalmatian. He goes, "Now you know that wiener dog could hear a fly fart at 100 yards. And you know that yapping little bitch? She caused that female Dalmatian to go bonkers. That wiener dog won't bite, but that Dalmatian will. Now, if there was a man talking to you, they'd have both been in there, and that Dalmatian would have tore him a new one." He goes, "Better than that news just now going off." He grabbed me by the arm, pulled me off of that wee-wheeler, put me in his arm like a football, and he goes, "When I get around the corner and there ain't nobody," and he stopped, because he made it to the kitchen. He is looking up them stairs, and all of a sudden he set me down in front of him, and he goes, "You see that chair behind me?" And he never took his eyes off that guy. It's that chair behind me. You get your ass up in that chair. We hollered for that wiener dog and that Dalmatian. Made him sit right there underneath my chair. And he called the dog by name, the Dalmatian. He goes, "That son of a bitch moves. You take him." That Dalmatian got down, and she didn't have very long hair, but every little hair seemed to stand up on her head, her back. The wiener dog was just laying there like, "Oh shit, here we go. Getting ready to be World War III. Dad's looking up at a guy, and he goes, "So what the hell do you want? And just what are you doing in my house?" The guy just sat there looking at him. My dad said, "Well, that's okay. I'm going to make me a cup of or a pot of coffee. And I'll make us both a cup. You come down here, we'll have a talk, and you can leave. Otherwise, there's a problem. You can come down here, we'll go out in the yard, and I'll whip your ass, and then I'll take you back town and drop you off." Guy didn't say nothing. My dad had one of them old percolator coffee pot, and he puts it on there, and after a few minutes, it starts to percolate, and you can hear it over there making that percolating noise. He reaches up there by the sink at the butcher's block, pulls out 3 butcher knives, slams them down on the table, and he goes, "Mister, just what the fuck do you want? Did you come here for an ass whipping? Or did you come here to talk? If you want an ass whipping, I give you an ass whipping, or we can talk. I don't know who you are, I don't know what you want, that's what I'm trying to figure out. But I can give you one or the other, or I can give you both." Coffee gets done, so he pours him a cup, pours another cup, and he goes, "Your coffee's down here on the table. Come down here and we'll sit and talk about this, whatever it is. If not, we'll go to the yard." The guy just sitting there looking at my dad, and no expression on his face. My dad drinks his coffee and smoking a cigarette, and he goes, "You know, when I get done with this cup of coffee and this cigarette, and you ain't down here, you ain't said a word, it's going to get real ugly real fast." My dad's in there drinking his coffee and puffing his cigarette. He got done, he put his cigarette in the ashtray, grabbed those knives, and threw them, one at a time. Went right past this guy, and that guy didn't flinch. All of a sudden, that guy raised up, because he never was sitting completely on the stairs. He was floating on them. We didn't know that. He floated up just about 10 inches. His whole body shifted, pew, right to the wall. My dad grabbed me and hollered for the dogs, grabbed his carton of cigarettes, and we run out the door. We left and didn't come back that night. I'll be telling you more about this story in the next one coming up. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. This is Henry.